Today we're going to answer once and for all the question, how do you record the ultimate onboard? We have a room full of cool cars, the best racetrack in the world next to us, and we are going to do everything. We're going to unbox new modern tech. We're going to talk about the history of recording on boards. We have an industry expert, the guy that makes a living out of shooting on boards, and I think the most popular onboard channel on the planet. And we are going to tell you what we think is the best solution. Everything is going to happen in this video. You cannot talk about recording automotive onboards without talking about this brand, GoPro. For many years, this brand has been synonymous with the idea of an action cam. And it's not that there hasn't been onboards recorded before GoPro. For many years, people did bullet cams that actually went to external hard drives or to VHS. People even solidly mounted like proper cinema cameras. However, for consumers like us, that wanted to record their own onboards, GoPro was the company that revolutionized the game. It's not only for us. I think for many people that record extreme sports, the GoPro was the brand. And part of the reason why this brand was so important is exactly what you see here, this ecosystem of mounts. So today we're going to speak not only about the cameras, about also how you mount them. However, let's talk about the actual cameras. Now, GoPro is a very interesting brand. The guy behind the company, Nick Goodman, the creator of the original GoPro, was an amazing guy with a great story. He wanted to record himself surfing, so he created this photo camera that was actually waterproof. And then a few years later, in 2006, he created the first video version of that. And from that, there was a whole empire born, so much so that for many years, automotive enthusiasts were waiting for the next GoPro to upgrade their kit. And I was also part of that ecosystem. This is, for many people, the original GoPro. This is a GoPro Hero. It's not 20 years old, really, although they created the first video GoPro 20 years back. This was, I think, introduced in 2010. And in the years that followed, we have many interesting stuff. I think, for me, they started to be a smart thing to mount in your car somewhere here, in this form factor. This is 3 Plus, 4. This was a sweet spot. This was a camera that had like good battery life, great image. I used this to record a ton of stuff through the years, and it was one of my favorite cameras. And then they changed completely the form factor. This is the Session. It is one of my favorite cameras. I absolutely love this small cube, and I love the original one. This is actually a Hero 5 Session. Then a few years later, they introduced this that didn't have this external case. I cannot tell you how many of these, Nick Woodman, I cannot tell you how many of these I have broken through the years. Like, unreal. Anyway, this is still one of my favorite cameras, funnily, although with the limitations that it has, because it has small files, great battery life, so much so that I still use this more than I use this that has like better image quality. And then, of course, when we come to the big GoPro Heroes, they changed against the form factor here at the 6.7, and this is basically what I use today. It is very close to the form factor of the 13, but in reality, it's just a 10. This is what I use for almost everything you have seen in our channels. You know, like I never really upgrade every year. I think it's a bit of a trap, but in reality, all of the stuff that I've made for professional production, personal onboards, almost 200 Malapiro videos, all the latest ones are with this camera. And we actually use a camera with an ND and a media cage. This is very important. It is one of the main things that you have is like this extra audio jack, so you could actually connect a microphone. It has a better microphone built in as well, so it improves a bit the quality. And of course, as I said, the ND, it makes a huge difference. We're going to talk accessories and specific settings later on. But for me, this was the sweet spot. I didn't update to a 12, I didn't update to a 13. I didn't really see the difference. And when I'm saying this, where I'm going to talk a little bit about the comparisons in a minute. However, I want to speak about the mounts. As you can clearly see, this has the traditional GoPro mount. And I think for me, this is very interesting because the mount system is actually what made the GoPro so strong. For many years, people had the GoPro mounts, so they kept buying the next GoPro. And For a car guy, this is probably one of the first mounts that you buy. This is a sanction mount. I think you can mount this inside, outside. Most car guys had at some point one of these. This specific one is one that I have for years. I put it outside of cars, traveling at 350, I think, kilometers per hour. This specific mount has been outside with no gaffer tape, no nothing. And the GoPro took it like a champ. I've lost a few of these through the years and a few cameras. But I think this is the most reliable sanction mount on the market. Like, I absolutely love it. Original GoPro, always original GoPro on this. Then the next thing that you probably get is something like this, a roll bar mount. Again, very useful. You always have to get a few of the extra connectors because normally the orientation of the roll cage of the tube is very rarely where you want, so you want to be able to move the camera around. The specific one has a ball head here. It helps a ton. A bit of an industry secret. Always use one of these mounts if you want to have the perfect angle for your onboard. And then, of course, as you get more advanced, you have things like magic arms, that you can actually open and move and position in any way that you want. You can have like a tripod style mounts and magnetic mounts and clip mounts. But the most interesting thing here is this. This is 3D printed. We just had it fresh from the oven here. And it is a double mount because we are doing a very interesting comparison. We're taking the oldest GoPro Hero that, believe it or not, still works, and we're gonna put it next to a Hero 13, a brand new one, 16, 17 years of difference between the footage of the one and the other. So stay tuned. Later in the video, you're gonna see this footage together. And of course, we're gonna compare the current GoPro, the Hero 13, with what I think is the best camera today on the market, which happens to be not a GoPro. So let's check what is that new best camera. Inside this box is what I think is the best action camera on the market. Can you guess which one it is? Traditionally, in this segment, you have two competitors, DJI and GoPro. And I have been a GoPro guy. But this is about to change. Why? First of all, let me tell you what is this. This is a DJI Osmo Action 6. This is my first DJI camera ever. And I don't know how I feel about this. I've used multiple DJI products in my professional life, but personally, I always was a GoPro guy. So let's see what comes in this package. This looks dangerous. I don't think this is important for what we do. DJI Osmo Action 6. I have a feeling that everything happens in here. We're going to open first the accessories. Bigger box goes first. I imagine we have charger, beats, cables, instructions. Men don't read instructions. Round things. I'm not aware what is this. Mounts. So basically, these two things are your mounting points. This is your charger and this is your wire, which basically means that your action cam is just this little thing. That is all. This thing packs a huge sensor. This sensor is almost 1 inch big, 40% bigger than the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro, and this is why we are here. And in my opinion, one of the coolest things about this camera package is that this sensor is square. It's one of very unique features, which means that you actually cut both for social media. You can cut vertical and horizontal, and that is very cool. Now, there's a few other specs from this camera that I don't find them very important, like big resolution or high frame rates. The reality of it is that when you're shooting car stuff, you basically stick to your native frame rate. 25 for Europe or for NTSC, 30 frames per second. Some people record on boards at 60 frames per second, but I'm not a big fan. I will explain more towards the end. We're gonna have a bit of a part that discusses settings. But for now, I'd say the most important thing is this. What you see here, as far as I am concerned, this is the best action camera on the market. And we have a very special guest that we're going to talk about DJI versus GoPro. But for now, very small package, very big sensor, high dynamic range, and variable f-stop. The variable f-stop, that's a big feature on this camera, is not very important for what we do. Normally, when you shoot automotive stuff, you try to probably stay in a fixed f-stop. And yes, the North Life is a very unique track because it has these very bright parts that you're out in the sun and these very dark parts that you're inside the forest. So it's actually one of the most demanding things that you can record when it comes to specific settings, but I believe the dynamic range of this camera is around 13 stops. You will see that this front element is removable. You can screw and unscrew. There's gonna be something coming here. There's gonna be a part of the video about accessories, but what you need to know for now is this is the camera that we think is the best, and you don't have to take my word. You don't have to take even our guest word. There's gonna be a part at the end of the video that we compare the GoPro with the DJI, and we're gonna have a verdict. You can basically see the image by yourself and decide. We are here at Balkan Alpha, and we're gonna find Misha that basically makes a living recording onboard videos. And he's about to set up cameras in our brand new 992 GT3 RS, which is like a mega car. He has been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and I think he uploads one video every single day. He drives more than 500 cars per year, and he is basically making a living by doing these onboard videos. So he really knows what is needed to make a perfect video. He always updates his setup. The man himself is there. He's gonna tell us how he does it. So you are the guy that records the most viewed onboards on the platform.
Yes.
The highest number of views. You drive more than 500 laps per year.
Yeah,
More
than 1,000 laps per year.
You have been recording onboards with different setups through the years.
Yes.
Can you tell me how you do this? Like what kind of cameras you use, how you put them on the car?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, let's go to our subject of today's video, which happens to be Trackspeed's latest GT3 RS. So, it's very simple, actually. I have multiple cameras. So I've been, over the last 5 years, I've been always using between 3 to 5 cameras even, depending on the content. So the main thing is we have one facing on the outside that we put on the windscreen because it's just straight on.
That would be main view.
Main view that you put as low as possible because the lower it is, the faster it seems. So as low as the windshield / bonnet hood allows you to do so. And the key to the motion blur is
I
ND
see there
filter.
in front, yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
A lot of people think, why are my videos are so different? Well, do you apply motion blur? I mean, yes and no. It's not a software, it's a natural thing. I mean, you can go crazy with your photography skills and tell people what this is, but you do ND filter, the higher you go, the crazier the motion blur can be. But we need to have enough sun, of course. And we're here in the Eifel, we always never have sun. So there we are.
I always say that the most difficult racetrack to record on boards is the Nürburgring.
Yes.
Because you go in the saddles, out of the saddles.
Yeah.
You need the ND to basically drop the shutter speed, so that creates the motion blur that you see. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be like too dark, because if it gets too dark, then you start having like a noise. It is a tricky thing. So this is your main camera.
Yeah, that's the main camera. Now, you mentioned actually that we have sunlight, we have shadows, etc. To overcome this year I actually got the latest DJI cameras. For the last 10 years I've been recording on GoPro, but DJI has actually brought something new in the Action 6. They have a variable aperture. So we have one facing inside, so that can capture me and potentially a passenger when we do taxi laps with Trackspeed. We have the rear view camera to see what's happening behind me if someone
This is very cool many times because there's other cars behind.
Other cars overtaking, or I'm overtaking them, or there's some lead and follow, or there is a DRS wing that's moving as well, which is also cool. And then finally, we have also the speedometer camera.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Wow. Look at this.
That's the new AMG GT3. It is. Oh, that looks so sick. My God.
Filming at the Nürburgring,
wow.
Always a cool thing.
Yeah, exactly. Speedometer camera that is running a macro lens, and there's that. I'm using 25 frames per second. You could have gone 50 or 60. The thing is, we are in NTSC.
We're in PAL. We're in Europe.
We're in PAL. Yeah,
I use exactly the same. You don't use NTSC, that would be like 30 and 60. We would use here in Europe 25 or 50.
Yeah,
and I also use 25.
Because that synchronizes with the light frequencies of
the
headlights
and
the screens.
Lights
so if you don't do that, you're going to have a flickering, jittering screen.
And I think this is very important because I think people love in your videos that they can see the speed, the actual RPMs or speed. They really love it. I see when it's missing, like always someone might ask.
Exactly, that's the thing. Sometimes when we have a manual car, I also include a fifth camera for the footwork, potentially. And as of this year, TAV Draggy. Now, the majority of people know this as a data telemetry device for drag racing. That's where the name also comes from. But as a few years, they also have released an app that supports their device on tracks. I've been recently on a world trip, went every continent.
I saw literally Australia, Dubai,
and doesn't matter where you go, you start your phone, it sees where you are and it tells you, okay, select this track, this configuration, and you can use it as telemetry for lap timing to see GPS values, to see how fast you were going to certain corners, your predicted lap time, the best lap time. You can record the video on your phone simultaneously, or you can extract the data from this device and use it as an overlay to your main camera. What I'm doing right now, basically,
I saw it in some of your videos. I find it very interesting.
I include GPS to tell people with the map where we are on track, but more importantly, this car is great, but we have sometimes old shit boxes where speedometer isn't working.
Doesn't work, yeah.
Or it's reading completely wrong.
My MX-5, it never had the working speedo or RPM. You could not see any of the two.
Or you cannot position the camera to include both the speed and everything, because you're driving, for example, on Old Mini where the speedometer is there and you have RPM nowhere, and you can, so this is cool. And as of this year, which is even cooler,
OBD.
OBD.
That's very cool. I have not even seen this in person.
You have not seen it because I haven't, as of now, I haven't released any single video with this featuring, but this actually records the whole ECU data of the car. So you have the throttle positioning. Cool. So if you're doing like wide open throttle, you
in a Porsche you can see everything. I think even the steering angle. Or
steering angle, the intake manifold temperature, and all these things. So the more data, the cooler. I like to nerd it out. Sometimes it's overkill, but since we're doing so many different cars, it's nice to.
I think there's something very unique. I guess I think for me this is the most complete setup I've ever seen. There's many people recording on boards, and I think we all, whoever has driven on track, you have been doing it for years as an amateur, as a professional content creator, as a filming team. But I have not seen someone do it so religiously. And I want to say a little bit, one of my personal favorite stories. You mentioned that you swapped from GoPros to DJI cameras. And I want to say what is my personal favorite story of one of the times that we were working together. It's summer, we are shooting with GoPros. And we have no affiliation with any brand. But like GoPros are notorious about not working well on temperature. So I remember you grabbing your GoPros and putting them where?
In the freezer. I actually have a freezer here. And a funny story, I ordered the freezer, and since we're in Germany, like the German tax authorities would like to come and ask, like, why is this a business expense? You are not dealing with food, you're a workshop, why are you having a freezer? Content.
It's a content freezer, no food goes there.
Yeah, it's to make sure that we can promote our business through the freezer.
Man, thank you very much. I'll let you do your thing. As you guys can clearly see, Misha is moving this setup from car to car multiple times. Maybe on a busy Sunday, you would move from car to car and do 5, 6, 7 cars.
My record is 14.
14 cars in a day.
14 cars in a day.
So as you can imagine, it takes a huge amount of effort to record it, to keep cameras rolling, and of course to archive it. I don't want to ask you how you collect all these
external hard drives. We use Lassie hard drives. They are 5 terabytes big. So traditional, not SSD, because the value for money would be a bit crazy.
The onboard is big.
We have SSDs for data transfer, but for storage we use just simple hard drives.
Can I ask you this? Can you tell me how many terabytes you record like in a season? Or this is too crazy?
I'm looking at Stan, like what, 4 or 5? I think
25 tera per season.
Yeah.
Okay, man. I will let you do your thing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm gonna wait to see this on board on his channel.
Yes.
Together with an onboard of almost every car you have imagined. Like. I hope you enjoyed this segment with Misha. It's clear that he has a very cool setup and he really knows what he's doing with it. This leaves us with 2 questions. GoPro or DJI? But more importantly, how do you do this, regardless of what you picked, if you are not like Misha? Let's answer that first. Let's go in the car. So what happens if you're not Misha and you cannot have multiple angles and a camera pointing at your legs and one pointing at the tacho and one outside and one inside? Let's say that you have only one GoPro and you want to put it somewhere in your car. For most cars, the easiest thing to do is a suction mount, is what you see here. It is as easy as that. You take this and you put it there, and it is done. Actually have a clear view outside of the car, very easy. No matter if you are shooting in the dark or in a changing light conditions, it will work great. So much so that almost all our cars here, they have like a permanent sticky mount, which actually is very cool because you don't need to have at all this bulky thing blocking your view. So you can literally go here and it's done. So literally, it is there, it's pointing out. The lens is very wide, so it doesn't matter if it's exactly in the center, but of course all these details, the more centered it is, the better it is. However, this leaves a big problem because as a driver, especially as a driver that is driving on track, you want to see your hands and many people want to see also speedo, so this creates a problem. How can I see outside and I can also see my hands with one camera? And to this we have a solution, which is this thing here. And it's not the traditional roll cage mount because in recent years I fell in love with this. Many years back I wouldn't have used it because without the stabilization this mount cannot work. But with the added stabilization of the recent cameras, this basically does an amazing thing. It almost takes the vibration out from most cars, assuming your car has a roll cage, allows you to put the camera at the perfect place. And it is so easy because literally you just have to open this clamp it. It doesn't matter if the roll cage is square or round or small or big. This is literally the quickest setup, and compared to the old school roll bar mount, I cannot tell you how much I love this. It changed my life. I'm gonna literally put it here. It's not gonna look pretty because it's very tight inside the Porsche, but look at this, like it is this. Literally, I'm gonna go here, the roll cage is square and it's tricky, the camera was pointing wrong, it's done. This setup that you see here, or basically you don't see because it's almost invisible, is my perfect setup. I have the camera at the same level of my eyes. It's back enough so I can actually see hands and dust and a clear outside view. And I can do almost everything with one camera. However, in order to be able to do this, you need to have the right settings in your camera. You need to make sure that you have an ND filter, because probably if you just put it as it is and you just shoot it outside, it's gonna overexpose everything and it's gonna look like you're driving laps in Sahara Desert. So you need to have your ND, you need to make sure that your ISO is kept low so you don't have any noise and you don't have the camera overexposed. I normally put the exposure -2, -1.5, it has to do with the day. You have to know a little bit your settings of your camera. If you'd like to see a video more elaborate that speaks in detail about settings, we would love to nerd out with you and give you like this perfect settings. However, I think for this guide, we cover this to great length. And I think that is basically the hot setup if you are one guy, one camera. Now let's see a little bit of onboard recorded this way. And that's that. This is how you mount your camera in your car. And that leaves one last question. GoPro or DJI? For me, I will tell you that this answer is almost simple. Whatever you already have. As you probably will see in the footage that will come, the light that you record in, it's much more important. If you go back in this video, we told you that we were gonna show you GoPro Hero 1 with current GoPro Hero 13. So right now, I'm gonna give you this footage. What you're gonna see now in your screens is basically the Hero at the bottom and the GoPro Hero 13 at the top. Almost 20 years of development in this footage. At first, I was actually surprised on how good the old Hero looked. And then, of course, the more you look at the footage, it's clear that the 13 is superior in every way possible. One of the things that you might not be able to see if you're watching this on a mobile phone is that maybe the Hero footage, it looks almost a little bit like a focus too close to the car. I think they moved the focus point much closer to infinity in later versions. And of course, the dynamic range and detail, especially in the trees and in the shadows. The Hero 13 has a much bigger sensor. It can record log and whatnot. And this brings us nicely to these two, the Hero 13 and the DJI Action 6. That is probably the most important part of the video. This is the one comparison you want to see. And I also kind of expected that it would be very easy. And I will not lie, in the first test we did, it was basically not ideal weather. So it was overcast and the light was very flat. And you would not believe it, but the cameras were almost identical. The Hero and the DJI, they recorded an almost similar image. At that point, you would say, okay, but why should I spend all this money to get one of these new cameras? And I think for someone like me, for example, it makes sense to go get one new camera because of battery life, because of the form factor. I have this square sensor that I can actually crop stuff for reels. If you do a lot of Instagram stuff or social media stuff, you will be happier with Action. But for example, even battery life and not overheating and not having trouble, it's clear that the DJI is a much more stable platform. Now, because I was not happy, I also went out with good light. And I put the cameras on the front screen, as we described earlier. I think this is the most simple test, because when you move the cameras back to the roll cage, it is very difficult for the cameras to really expose right. I did the most easy test. So GoPro Hero 13 versus Action 6, now at your screens. I picked on purpose a day with fantastic light. I could not have asked for better weather conditions. Beautiful, clear blue skies and the most beautiful track in the world. And you can see at the bottom, the DJI Action 6, and at the top, the GoPro Hero 13. And again, it would be a lie to tell you that the difference is mind-blowing. I don't know. What do you think? I would love to hear your opinion in the comments. Do you like one of these cameras better than the other? For me personally, I think the difference is very small. I can look at these files at a big screen in full 4K resolution after I've graded the log footage to perfection and maybe pinpoint the differences. But I'm not sure if any normal person would see the difference. Finally, one of these things that I've noticed is that as we went in and out of forest, the Nordschleife being the most difficult track to record on board, because basically you're going into the shadows, so everything is dark, and then you're coming into open parts of the track, but there's a lot of light. And in these conditions, I think the GoPro did a better job at managing exposure. I think the DJI, there was some latency on how quickly it exposed, and sometimes it stayed darker for longer or overexposed for longer. However, I do think the overall image quality king is the DJI by a very small bit. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment. We would love to do more comparisons and maybe even do a full-blown explanation of settings or what other options exist. I have here something that I think is very interesting, because we discussed all this time about mounting the camera solidly in the car. And what I have here is also from DJI. This is the Nano. So this enables you, of course, to mount it wherever you want in the car, but you can also take it like that and record point of view. This is something that we're not going to cover in this video, but if you are interested and you want to know how to do point of view and what is the best way to mount this tiny camera in cool places, then maybe we could be back and do this. Finally, the most important thing that we didn't touch at all in this video is data. And this is something that we specialize. So if you would like to hear how we do video together with data, this could be a next step, this guide, but for experienced users. So if you would like to see this, or if you have any comments about this guide, please interact with us, leave a comment below. This is one of these videos that required a lot of time and a lot of things to come together in order for this to happen. So if you appreciate the hard work that went into this, please subscribe in the channel and make sure that you leave like a comment under the video and tell us what you would like to see next from us. Up until the next time, enjoy the onboard in this channel.